a lot of these farms ended up selling to these. A lot of companies have made headquarters here, which makes it so that there are a lot of job opportunities. Last fall and winter, we were able to go on like 2 walks a day. We can't really just take him outside for him to play, which is a huge bummer. Andrew and I don't really love like how cookie cutter these homes are. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Esperanza. I am a lifestyle blogger and content creator living in Phoenix with my fiance and my son, Sage Wilder, who is a 19-month-old toddler, and we are actually getting married this month. But this is a video that I've actually had on my list for a while now. I wanted to share my personal pros and cons of living in Phoenix, Arizona after living here for about 2.5 years now. I've actually done a video like this, a pros and cons video, for every city that I've lived in, which is, well, not every city, but I did one for Portland, I did one for Nashville, and I did one for Pittsburgh. So I will link those videos for you guys down below. And I'm actually curious, also comment down below when you started following me, if you subscribed to me when I was living in Portland or Pittsburgh or Nashville. I'm just curious, comment down that below as well. So I have moved around a lot because as a lifestyle blogger, I actually create a lot of travel content as well. So moving to those different cities allowed me to be able to create a lot of travel content in those cities and then the cities that surrounded that city basically. So that was kind of like a cool opportunity for me to be able to create content and also just like experience different areas in the country. And a lot of that travel content drives a ton of traffic to my blog and my socials. So it was definitely like very valuable to be able to do that. Okay, so that being said, let's go ahead and start with the pros of living in Phoenix. So I would say one of the pros is definitely the amount of growth that has happened here in this area. A lot of companies have actually made headquarters here in the Phoenix metro, which includes Chandler, where we live. It includes Gilbert, it includes Mesa, Tempe. Like it's a huge area and it's just like growing. So a lot of companies have made headquarters here, which makes it so that there are a lot of job opportunities, especially for young families. That's a great thing. And so going along with all of that growth means that there are a lot of young families here. So if you are someone who has children, this is a good area for young families with children because there are a lot of activities for families, a lot of activities for children. There are tons of schools and neighborhoods and all of that kind of thing. Because of that, there are a lot of like home developments as well. So there are tons of new homes going up, like big neighborhoods of home developments. So there are a lot of homes available for families, and in each development, usually there is like a commercial area that has like a grocery store or several grocery stores, several restaurants, a Target, a Walmart, that kind of thing. So there are tons of those here. Like I swear there are probably like 15 Trader Joe's or something. Okay, maybe not 15, but there are just a ton of Trader Joe's, tons of Walmarts, tons of Targets, because they kind of have to have one in every neighborhood just to make it like more convenient for people. So it's a huge area with tons of growth and tons of like commercial development and residential development. So those can all be great things for a lot of people. If you like the desert landscape, which I personally do, I think the desert is beautiful, then you will really like that aspect of the Phoenix metro area. There are tons of places to go on hikes. There is like Santan, which is really close to us, kind of in like the Queen Creek area. There is Camelback Mountain on the other side of Phoenix, and just a lot of like really beautiful scenery and desert landscape if you like that kind of thing. Another pro is that Phoenix is very close to a lot of amazing places like Sedona. We actually just got back from a trip to Sedona for Andrew's birthday, and it took us maybe like 2.5 hours to get there. We spent a 3-day weekend there, but you can obviously like go up for a day trip as well. There is Flagstaff, which is a little further past that. A lot of people like to go to Payson for camping. Tucson is about an hour away, so that one definitely is like great for a day trip, although we still need to do one with Andrew since he moved here. I've been to Tucson a few times, but we haven't gone yet. That's still on our list. And so is the Grand Canyon, which is about maybe like 2.5 to 3 hours away, depending on which part of it that you're going to. So and these places are beautiful places with like amazing desert landscapes as well. So it is very close to a lot of cool places like that. Arizona in general has so many beautiful areas, especially if you love the outdoors. We are pretty close to California. Obviously, we border California, we border Nevada. If you wanted to do like a little bit of a longer trip up to maybe like Vegas, or we even just did a California trip and drove all the way there recently, like 6 hours straight to LA, but we actually stopped in Joshua Tree first. We went to Palm Springs, we went to San Diego. So it's really great for that as far as being like kind of in a central area where you can easily drive to a lot of places. Or you can fly as well, because we have an international airport, the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. So that's great for like domestic flights and international flights as well. We'll be flying out of there actually for our honeymoon in Italy this November. The last pro that I want to touch on is the fact that the weather here is very nice in the fall and winter. So last fall and winter, we were able to go on like 2 walks a day, and the weather was really mild and just like very enjoyable. So we really enjoyed our time outdoors during the fall and winter. It never really gets cold enough to need a sweater. Okay, that's not true. Probably like in the very like middle of winter, I might wear a hoodie or like a very light sweater, but in general, like you really don't even need that because the weather is so mild here. So that is really nice during the fall and winter, but that leads me into my first con, which is the weather here in the spring, summer. Especially in the summer, it gets so hot here, which is really hard for us to handle personally, for Andrew and I. It's so hot that you really can't go outside like during the day, or if you do, you're just miserable basically. Like you know, get out of your car and like quickly go into the place that you need to go, or a lot of people will only do all of their errands in the morning and then get home by like 10 or something, or go out and do everything in the evening to avoid like the hottest part of the day. So that can make things like really tough, really complicated. It's also really hard with children because that can be very dangerous for children. They can easily get overheated like in the back of your car if they're just not getting enough ventilation. So you would kind of need to like maybe go start your car and let it cool down before you go in, or if you have like, you know, one of those devices where you can turn your car on remotely and have it cool down. I know some people will even put like a vent to like a tube vent to get back to like their children so they can like cool down, but all of this is very inconvenient. You know, a lot of people retire in Phoenix, including my parents, for the like wonderful weather in the fall and the winter, but then a lot of these people go back home to, you know, Michigan, the Midwest, wherever they're from, for the spring, summer, so that they kind of get like the best of both worlds. My parents actually live here all year long, so they're here all year long, and maybe they'll just do more like vacations in the summer, basically. Like right now they're in Columbia, where my mom is from. But yeah, that makes it really hard. So that leads me to like 2 cons, but like these 2 cons have to do with the weather. So the con for us is that we can't take Sage outside in the spring, summer. Early spring's okay, but even early spring, like April, it's super hot here. So we can't really just take him outside for him to play, which is a huge bummer because we really enjoyed that in the fall and winter. We also only have a rock backyard in our rental house, so it's not something that he can play around in. We'd have to go to the park if we wanted him to be able to play outside, but it's too hot at the park, so it definitely presents a problem for young children. That being said, there are a lot of indoor activities that you can do. There are a lot of museums like in the Phoenix metro area, closer into like the downtown area. There is the art museum. There is the Scottsdale Contemporary Art Museum, and we've been to like a few of these places, so those are good things to be able to do with your children. There's the aquarium, things like that, but all of those things cost money, and so it can get expensive. But the reason you'd want to do that is for them to have something to do where there's air conditioning and it's cool. So a lot of the times what we end up doing is we like to go thrifting. We're doing a lot of thrifting right now because we're thrifting things for our wedding. So we'll go to Goodwill and we'll let Sage play with like the toys. He gets like really excited about that. I'll meet my friends for coffee dates, like mommy baby dates, but it kind of has to be like at a coffee shop or somewhere where it's cool. Otherwise we'd be able to go on walks and stuff, but during the hot months you just can't do that. There are a lot of water parks here and things like that, but I personally don't like to do that with Sage because I don't like us to be in the sun when the UV rays are really strong. So kind of like to each their own, and everyone figures something out. We do like to go to the library like once a week for toddler time there, so it's just not like super convenient is the thing. That's what I'm trying to get at basically for families with young children. That also leads me to another con, which is that if you have dogs, same thing. It's really hard for your dogs because they're kind of like stuck inside all day. They can't really play outside a ton during like the hot part of the day. You also can't really take them on walks during the hot part of the day. So we'll see people late in the evening, like when it's dark, walking their dogs, or like super early in the morning, which is what Andrew does. He gets up like at 4 in the morning and goes on a walk with Arlo while it's still cool. So just like things that are a lot more inconvenient during that portion of the month, those seasons. So that leads me to another con, which I had actually listed as a pro, which was that there are a lot of new home developments here. So for families looking to buy a home, there are a lot of options. But that being said, in our personal opinion, Andrew and I don't really love like how cookie cutter these homes are. A lot of these different developments, all of the homes look exactly the same, like even in the development that we live in, and we're just renting. But the development that we live in, there are maybe like 4 different variations and like a color palette that is stuck to. So if you like that kind of thing, then obviously that's not going to bother you. It's not going to be a con. But if you are kind of like Andrew and I, where you maybe like older homes, like with more charm, like with old features, arches, things like that, then you would need to kind of be looking for a home more so in like the older part of Phoenix. Like the downtown area has a lot of those older homes, but they are very pricey for that reason and for the fact that they are right there in the main Phoenix metro area. But out here, you're mainly just gonna get all of this commercial residential development. So for us, that is a con. For others, that might not be. So that's just a personal opinion. Another con is that it's really hard to get around here. And part of that is because of these big commercial residential developments. So when my parents moved here about 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of these plots were actually farms. They were cornfields. They were, I think they had like pecan trees at one point, cotton fields, things like that. And a lot of these farms ended up selling to these companies that like built their headquarters, or to companies that were building these residential developments. So you don't really see much of that anymore. Every now and then you might see like a random cornfield where like obviously they have not sold yet or something. But because of this, it's like these huge plots of land and these huge residential and commercial developments. So it takes a long time to get anywhere. And because the area has grown so much, they didn't really plan for that. So there aren't like a lot of great options as far as like freeways or transportation in that way, which I actually don't really care about because I personally don't like driving on the freeway. I let Andrew do that, so I wouldn't really want more freeways anyway, but I know that that is a thing because it takes a long time to get anywhere here. Even if we just drive to the next town over, which is Gilbert, like if we want to go to downtown Gilbert, where all the cute restaurants and boutiques are, that's a 25-minute drive. And if we want to go to downtown Chandler, we live in Chandler, but if we want to go to downtown Chandler, where all of the fun stuff is, that's a 20-minute drive. So like if we happen to want to go to a particular restaurant, it might be a half an hour to get there. If we want to go into downtown Phoenix and do things there, that can be 45 minutes. Or if we go up to Scottsdale or in that part of the Phoenix metro area, it can take an hour. We literally drove an hour the other day just to go to Tommy Bahama's, where we had a gift card for dinner. So that is a big bummer, I would say. So that is another con. That may not bug you at all. Clearly, this is kind of a personal opinion. The traffic can also get really bad, which is why it can take, 45 minutes to an hour to get to those areas that I was talking about, which you're going to get in pretty much any city. Like any metro area is going to have bad traffic near the city. So that's kind of to be expected. But as far as like the driving 25 minutes to get to downtown Gilbert or 35 minutes to get to downtown Mesa, that's not something that I've really experienced as much. So even like the area that I grew up in, which was a smaller metro area in Eastern Washington, you can get across the entire city in 20 minutes. So the fact that like these towns, these areas with the developments are so big, it just takes forever to get to where you're trying to go to, is what I'm trying to say. So the last con that I want to touch on is the fact that you don't get to experience all of the seasons here. So what you expect for a fall, maybe on like the West Coast or the East Coast, is, fall leaves, fall colors. But our fall, like when you see the leaves changing into fall colors here, it is more like late winter. So you kind of miss that whole fall experience. The spring here is different. We do get flowers. That's kind of when you have like the bloom happening with the cacti and everything in the spring. So we kind of get like a little bit of a spring. You don't really get like the rain or like the May showers that you think of in other areas. Winter here, we don't get snow, so you're not going to get that white Christmas feeling here. You definitely experience summer, but to like a ×5, like ×10 level. But that being said, if you did want to experience more of like a winter fall feeling, then you could take like a road trip up to Flagstaff, where they do often get snow and they will have like fall changing of leaves, and that's not too far. That's like 2.5 to 3 hours away. So you can kind of take trips places to get that feeling, but you're not going to get that feeling every day of the experience of the seasons changing. Okay, so those are my personal pros and cons of living in the Phoenix area as someone who has lived here for 2.5 years and who has been visiting for like several years prior to that, because my parents do live in the Phoenix metro area. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. If you are maybe thinking of moving to Phoenix and you are kind of just like looking to get an idea of should you not, what are the pros and cons, that's why I wanted to make this video. So I hope that it was helpful for you guys. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and that you turn on your bell notifications so that you'll be notified whenever I have a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Make sure that you also are following along with me on all socials, and check out my blog, theurbandarling.com, for more content that I'm sharing, which is a lot of wedding content right now, and coming up it'll be a lot of like travel, honeymoon in Italy type content. So make sure that you guys check back for those and follow along with me. All right guys, see you in my next video. Bye.